John.
How you doing?
Oh, where
It's all cut and sliced.
yes, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Beautiful.
Doing well. Do you have background noise, John?
What kind?
How much is that?
Someone talking around behind you?
Yes. I'll get rid of that, but for now I want to do this. I'm gonna
Okay.
mute.
Mute. Should we mute? Does that make it better?
It only really matters when,
If you mute it, they can't hear you. But if you got background noise, they don't want to. So you-
I like that background.
The CAC one. What's our quorum for CAC? I don't remember.
you're asking me all the questions.
Sorry, I'm brain dead today.
I can do that too.
It's a percentage. Oh,
And Shelley.
I can't either. I totally didn't. He's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna leave this kind of ajar.
We need at least 13 people.
All right, let's see.
a quorum?
Three.
No,
Hold
that's,
on. No. I'm
that's too
totally wrong.
many. No, that's way too many.
Yeah, give me just a second.
Let's see, we got,
6.
yeah, we're good. I was gonna say, I think we have someone from everywhere, so.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
how many do we have to have?
We have 10 now and we only need 6, so I think we're good to go.
Yeah, that's about right.
So there's only 11 voting members?
No,
Isn't that
should
what
be
it-
more than that.
How do you have 6 if you got, doesn't a quorum have to be enough to vote?
30%
Only
of
30?
voting members.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we could take it down to 10% and only have to have 1 here. Sorry.
Bad John, troublemaker.
We have.
Sharon, do you know that you always put your thumb in front of your camera? So we just get to see your thumb. Oh, there's your face.
oh, I do 7 or 8 of these a month. I've never been told. Sorry about that.
See, so I always thought, I'd rather see
No,
your
I
face
usually
than her
black it
thumb.
out. No, I usually black it. I usually black it out. No one's ever told me that. That's hysterical. Because like I said, I do a bunch of these every month. No one's ever told me that.
Well, okay, I'm the first one that didn't like
Yeah,
looking
you
at your
are.
thumb.
I wish they would have said something. I mean, I literally do 5 to 7 a month and no one's ever said a word. Usually what I do, I just black myself out. And that's what I'll do today.
No,
I'll
no,
black
you don't have
myself
to
out.
do that. I like seeing
Oh, no,
faces.
no. I hate doing that any other way. Sorry about that. Terribly sorry.
You told the truth, Maylee.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
I've done that the whole time? Oh my God, I had no idea. Oh, I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I've never been told that. And I mean, I literally do 5 to 7 a month, at least, a minimum of.
Can't you
And
see
they're
yourself?
never, and most of them are government. Most of them are government.
Well, okay, that explains it. They don't care.
No, they do care. That's one thing that's really bad about us in government. They do care.
But they haven't told.
No, they
That's
haven't.
cute.
I mean, I've been doing this for what, a year? At least a year. No one's ever said anything. I usually just black myself out. But I will black myself out from now on.
No,
No,
Oh.
no, that's the way I want to do it. I've always wanted to do it that way.
Always watched you before.
Pardon?
We knew you were there. You were always there. We saw you.
Yep. I'm
don't
real
remember a bump
conscientious
being
about that
you
one.
you could have drawn a smile, a face on your thumb, and then it would have been fine.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
Just wear a finger puppet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's
There we
cute.
go.
Don't tell her she doesn't black out and she won't know the difference.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we can't see you now, it's fine.
Good, good. That's the way I run all the meetings. All right, attend all the meetings.
All right.
And then
Yes,
Carol doesn't look at her. We see just the, oh, there's Carol. Hey, Carol.
Are you waiting for some more, Jessica? Trying to get some more people on?
I think you are good to go. You have at least 14, so
Yeah, that should be good.
we can go down the attendance list if you'd like, or you can jump right into it. It's recorded, so.
Well, then let's bring the meeting to order. I don't have, I never got a agenda. So
Oh.
Jessica, help me out with that and we'll go from there. Or somebody.
One moment, I will share it.
Do we do a roll call? Do we need a roll call? I think we do, don't we? Yeah, we do. Oh, lovely. I like it.
There's the agenda.
There's your agenda. I'll go ahead and go down the list of attendees to make
Oh.
sure that everyone's accounted for, and then I will turn it back over to you, okay?
Okay, so we'll call together our regular meeting of February 24th. We know we have a quorum. Under consent items, we have the agenda and we have the minutes and the board financial report. So do we have anybody that wants to talk about the agenda, modifications, deletes, complaints, whatever you'd like to do? We need to approve the agenda.
Agenda looks beautiful.
Okay.
Do we have an agreement on the agenda? Everybody that wants that, say yes, and other ones?
Yes.
I'm on it.
Yes.
I'm teasing. Okay. All right. How about the minutes from last meeting? Anybody have any changes or anything you'd like to add to that? If
Move
not,
we approve.
okay, that's approved. Board,
I'll
Who
finance-
made the motion? I'm sorry to interrupt. Who's the,
Sharon made the motion to approve.
thanks, Sharon.
To approve all of the
Yeah.
consent items or just the minutes?
do we have a second?
Well, how do we do that? Because can't we approve them all at one time?
Sure.
Yeah, if someone
Okay.
moves the consent item.
No,
Okay,
I-
I move that we
the other-
approve all the consent items.
The other consent item is. the
I
board
second Ed Dills.
I'm sorry, before we second, I have a question regarding the board financial report. This is Shelley.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Shelley. Shelley, the question you had, go ahead.
Kelly, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Hear you now.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
guys. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm pushing buttons and it's not working, and now my notes are not coming up. Specifically, hold on, let me get my notes up real quick. I'm so sorry. I thought I was ready for this. Under liabilities on page 7,
Go ahead.
where it says unearned revenue. Can you tell me what the big difference is there, please?
So I will take that and say that for our financials, one of the things we do, you'll notice in there that it says, these are from Casey, our finance director. And it says, if you have any questions, please let us know, because none of us here quite have the answer. Jessica Bechtel might, because she used to work in our finance department, but this may be one we need to get back to you on.
Okay. And then basically my other question, so I can just direct them all to her because my next one is on the next page regarding under the expenses on page 8. There are 3 line items that travel, obviously I can see where the big difference is there. And then reference publications, I'm not sure why there's such a big difference in the printing and publications there. And then also capital expenses, why there's such a big difference in those 3 items. Obviously, I know probably why travel.
So if you'll send me an email with that, I'll get that over to our finance manager and see if we can get you those answers.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions on any of the 3 items? Hearing none, we'd look for a motion and a second to approve those 3 items.
Sharon Brown, I'll move that we approve the 3 items.
And a second,
Joe Bowles, I second.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item passed. At this point, do we have anybody for public comments that are online or in your, well, we're all online. Is there anybody for public comments that are logged into us? Okay, I don't hear any of those, so we'll move on to informational items. El Paso County Safety Plan, Victoria Chavez, EPC.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me here today at your meeting. I really appreciate it. I'm going to ask Jessica to open up my presentation while I try not to laugh at my puppy who's trying to jump up and get his ball. All right, go ahead into the next page. So at El Paso County, we are doing a local road safety plan, and we are going to be looking at crashes throughout the unincorporated El Paso County to try and understand the factors that contribute to crashes, determine if there are certain areas that are overrepresented for their crashes, and figure out why those are issue spots. We want to identify and recommend effective solutions. We want to provide specific suggestions to improve safety in the region. And we have, we'll be including a timeline and goals for implementation and evaluation as we go forward. Next slide, please. So this is the basic safety planning process, and this comes from Federal Highways. The goal is to have a process that's comprehensive, that is data-driven, that looks network-wide, that's multidisciplinary. So we include not only transportation planners and engineers, but we include people who do outreach to the public. We have the public health department represented. We have sheriff's department, emergency management, those kinds of multidisciplinary approaches. And we try and make this to be a proactive plan so that we can look at things where they may be problems and help to address them before we have actual crashes. Go ahead to the next slide. So this is our basic plan approach, and we have stakeholder engagement throughout the entire thing. We have a stakeholder group as well as a website that is out for the public that I will demonstrate for you in a few minutes. So we've gone through our data gathering and we've collected crash reports, and we've been putting those into a GIS format so that we can see where they are. We've started to do the data analysis to looking at what kinds of crashes are we having, where are they, are there particular contributing factors like speeding, running red lights that are causing a lot of crashes. So we can do some trend analysis and then identify some priority locations that we will delve into more deeply to figure out exactly what's going on and how we can address it. We've been putting together a vision, objective, and priorities that we're going to be looking for. We then develop strategies to improve safety, and then we put together an implementation plan. Next slide. So this is our general schedule, and our goal is to hopefully have this plan completed by December of this year. Next slide. So this is our draft vision and mission statement. So our vision is to have a safer El Paso County road system for all. And our mission is to reflect our community values by working towards zero transportation related deaths and reducing serious injuries through improved infrastructure and driver behavior utilizing the 5 E's. And these 5 E's of safety have been studied and published on, and they are education, encouragement, engineering, enforcement, and evaluation. Next slide. So this is our website. It's epcsaferroads.com. And on there we have an area where you can, select and send us a message. You can put any safety concerns that you may have in the email. We have a section about some road facts. These are national statistics. We have our stakeholder group meeting materials and presentations and things like that. I'm gonna go to the next slide, and it might be the last slide. Okay, so this is our website, and Jessica, I'm gonna ask you to let me share my screen so I can demo this.
Go ahead and give it a try.
Jessica, what's up now? Where you go?
I know, so many people do that.
Okay, can you see this website and see my cursor moving?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
Very good. So this is where, oops, I have too many meetings on top of each other. So this is where you can go to our website and you can tell us where you think our safety concerns are. So as you can see, this is the entire county, and you can see lots of dots on it. And so this is where we've had over 170 people already put on dots on our map to tell us what they think is going on. So let me show you how you can do that. So this button right here, first thing you do, and you can see there are instructions on the left-hand side, but the first thing you do, well, it's probably easiest. Let me zoom into a spot to make it a little bit easier. And as you zoom in, you'll be able to see more of the roads and the road names. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to click this button that says edit, and it pops up a list of it's probably over 30 different safety concerns that you may have. So it could be aggressive driving. It could be there's access management issues. It could be you can't see things. It could be that cyclists are having behavior that is making the road unsafe. It could be failure to stop. Speeding is a big one that I know that we're going to get. There are pedestrian issues. There are multimodal issues. There's red light turning. There's just a variety of things that you can pick. And so all you have to do is say right here, we'll select this one. So we're going to say there's a stop sign running problem. And you'll go over to here and you'll go click. That's where it is. And you can even then write a comment on here. So say you see this every morning at 7 o'clock on your way on your commute in, you can add additional information. So it's not just stop sign running. You can add more information in there. And I'm going to delete this so I don't put a false comment in here. And that's all you have to do. And then we'll be able to go through, we'll be able to compile where things are happening, what kinds of things people are saying that they're seeing. And this is going to help us then analyze our crash data, as well as to look at areas where we may have a lot of problems, but we're not seeing crashes turn up yet. So this helps us to be far more proactive. And so we'll be having this website up probably for another 4 months or so, maybe even longer. And we are absolutely looking for everybody's input. So please feel free to get on this website, share whatever concerns you may have, and even share the website with people that you may know who also may have things to tell us. And so do you have any questions for me today?
Yes, Victoria?
Yes.
This is Ann in Green Mountain Falls. I think you showed me what I didn't know how to do. The list, I didn't go down far enough to click after I chose something and then go back to the map. I wrote an email to CDOT and all of you about the entrances into Green Mountain Falls. It's just a bad place up there, and I explained what I thought was wrong. Is that okay to do that too?
Absolutely. We will take those comments that we get from our emails and we'll either locate them on the map for you, or we'll just include them in our matrix once we put it together for analyzing.
Okay,
Absolutely fine.
thank you.
Thank you for participating. I appreciate it.
I remember 20 years ago, I wrote a letter to CDOT. We had a fatality up here, and but anyway, I wrote and said we needed some stoplights, and they said there wasn't enough traffic. Well, 20 years later, UPass has plenty of traffic, so I just.
There are definitely more cars on the road today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Victoria, John DeVoe.
Hi, John.
Have they already compiled a list of saying, what's the number one cause of fatality? What's the number one cause of whatever it may be, so that you can kind of prioritize this stuff of what's causing the most problem? Like, for example, running a red light. Okay, how does that compare to turning illegal or that kind of stuff?
So we are just starting to do that analysis because we've been working on, you would be surprised how hard it is to geocode the crashes to put into a GIS system. So it took us a little bit longer to do that than we had anticipated. But let me take you, but yes, the simple answer is yes, we are going to be doing that.
So you're saying is this has never been done before?
We have not done this in the county before. Doesn't mean it hasn't been done.
Okay, very good.
And we are certainly, we've utilized a consulting firm who have done many of these plans before in the past, and they are going to help us to do this. So I'm trying to get back to my page here. Hold on one second. We have what we call a dashboard. And that dashboard is going to show you some of those things. Let me just do this. I apparently need to get them to put a back button on there. Sorry about that. So here are some of the facts that we have. Now, these facts that we have are just basic crash statistics for the entire El Paso County area. But as we do this analysis and we figure out what our number one problems are in unincorporated, we'll be updating this dashboard and we will have a lot more information on it. So it will show you what the number one causes are. What we can look at what time of day crashes are happening. We can look at are crashes overrepresented on this very low volume road versus the same number of crashes on a high volume road. So there's going to be a whole lot more information on here as we continue to go through this process. But we're pretty early in the process and have plenty of time to continue sharing that. So please feel free to check back at this website and see the information as it changes as we go along.
When we do the county statistics like you have here, does that also include the city of Colorado Springs?
These do, but as we move forward with the analysis, we will be focusing on the unincorporated area.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Any other questions I can answer for you today?
I have a question. It's Ann again. Do you ever have live meetings, you know, where experts are discussing things that people can tune into or not?
Absolutely, we do. We have a stakeholder group. It's got about 30 people on it. And right here, you can see our stakeholder meeting 1. If you click on there, it will take you, or actually if you click over here on learn more, it will take you to the meeting materials that we sent. And as we pick our date for our second meeting, that will be displayed on this website as well.
Do you suppose that the PPACG, CAC would send that out to us if we wanted to listen.
I am sure that we can make that happen.
Because I didn't know, I see the others have already happened, and I just didn't know about it. Maybe that was because I didn't know where to look. But thank you.
Well, with these stakeholders meetings, and I'm happy to have you come to them, but these are where we get into the really techie details of things. And we've selected a group of people who have particular emphasis in this area and that can help us not only with the plan, but help us implement it as we go along.
That's good. That's good.
Well, if there aren't any more questions, I will say thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to coming back and sharing more results with you as we move forward.
Victoria, just one.
Okay?
How do you get the word out that you can come online to these meetings? In other words, what kind of press or what kind of thing are you guys using? Or do we need to give you some help to make sure we put that? In other words, how can the average citizen that doesn't check all of this stuff know that there's a meeting? Is that published in the paper?
No, as I said, the stakeholder meetings are really for our specific stakeholder group. But what we have done is we have done a press release. We were picked up in a couple different news releases. So I think we were on KOAA as well as in the Gazette. We have it on our website. We have sent the this website and the general discussion about the plan and what we're doing. We've sent it out to the TAC, the CAC, the board members. I've sent it to all the advisory groups El Paso County has. We've presented at our Highway Advisory Committee meeting. We've presented at the Transportation Advisory Committee at PPACG. We'll be presenting to Board of County Commissioners. So we are using a lot of other public meetings to go to those meetings so that we can share our information more widely.
This is Donna Wood. Are you putting it on Nextdoor? I know a lot of people utilize that. I know the county uses that site to, post notices about COVID and a bunch of other things. So have you thought about putting that out there to request that people go and input the information?
I have not used Nextdoor myself, but I am working with our public information office at the county, so I can chat with them about that. I have sent this this press announcement to almost 1,000 people in the county already.
Yeah, and the PIO for EPC puts information on there, but I didn't see it for this. So maybe you could ask that person to put it on Nextdoor because they're pretty good about putting other stuff on there.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Any other words of wisdom? This is Victoria, you got anything else you want to add, or is that it?
That's it for me. So thank you so much for letting me photobomb your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda. I lost the agenda on
That
the
should be
screen.
Erin McCauley for MMT, and she'll have a presentation as well.
Yep, that's me.
agenda Disappeared.
Agenda.
Would you like me to share my screen?
Sure, you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, let's do that then. Maybe. Oh, I forgot. Zoom requires 2 clicks. Okay. So I am hoping you all see the presentation. Is that an accurate statement? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So anyway, as mentioned, I'm Erin McCauley and I'm the Senior Compliance Analyst here at Mountain Metropolitan Transit. Every 3 years or so, we try to do a rider survey so that our writers can get their opinions heard, things like that. We also take demographic data as part of the survey, and we use that when we are considering modifications to our transit service. So we'll go through two things, the fixed route survey and the Metro Mobility Survey. This was, they were supposed to have been done together in March of 2020, but unfortunately the COVID-19 pandemic hit and we had to reprioritize a couple of things. We did manage right under the wire to get a fixed route survey on board, actually complete. It was like the week before everything went crazy. So as far as our fixed route survey instrument, we actually had an onboard survey. We contracted with FHU and they hired some temporary employees who they put on buses and they gave them paper copies of the survey. So we had English and Spanish versions, and the survey itself had 33 questions, 8 of which were on that day's bus ride. So where did you start? Where do you plan on going? How did you get to the bus? How did you pay? 5 on general transit use. So those questions are more like, how often do you ride the bus for this particular purpose? How do you generally pay for your bus fare? Things like that. 5 on the perceptions and opinions of the service, and that I kind of look at as our report card. So tell us how we're doing. And then 14 demographic questions. So age, gender, income, things like that. And those are the things that we take into account when we propose modifications to the transit service. So as I mentioned, it basically, the onboard survey was conducted the week before everything went really badly. So we were able, amazingly, to get a lot of responses. We got way more than the statistically significant sample of like 370. We actually got about 1,300 responses. So that was really, really good. So what did we find? Our fixed route riders, as you can see by this graph, are more than likely going to be millennials. Millennials are the largest section of our ridership, and Gen Z actually doubled in size from the last survey we did in 2017, which makes sense. Gen Z is getting older. They're riding the bus for more purposes. They're riding maybe without their parents, things like that. You can also see from this graph that we are more likely to be male in our ridership than female. And that was the same trend that happened in 2017. We were more male than female as far as our ridership, but the divide has actually widened. So we're now looking at a 3-to-2 ratio, men to women riders. So something to look at. As far as our ridership, most are employed at least full or part-time. We do also have a significant share of students, which makes sense because we do have college pass programs where we have partnered with the area colleges to provide a per semester fee, and then the students get to ride free on our buses throughout that semester. We also have a pretty significant unemployed section at 13.8%. And the bottom graph shows which industry our riders generally work in. And leisure and hospitality is the largest share of our bus riders. That is something that carried over from the 2017 survey as well. So that hasn't really changed. As far as demographics, this is about the same as the 2017 survey as well, but it shows the bottom left-hand bar graph shows that most of our riders are low income. So over 60% exactly, reported being in households with less than $24,000 a year. And then basically the 3 lower orange bars show the low income section of our ridership. So it's over 80%. The graph on the right-hand side shows the correlation between household size and low income. So as you can see, the larger the household size in terms of people, the more likely that household is to be low income. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So then if we look at the cars in the middle of the page, yellow is no and purple is yes. So we asked a series of questions. Are you able to drive? Do you have a driver's license? Do you own a vehicle? Did you have access to a vehicle to make this trip? And this kind of goes with the income levels as well. So we can see that the majority are able to drive, and almost half have a driver's license. But when we get into vehicle ownership and access to a vehicle, that percentage goes down pretty significantly. So that could be tied to income levels. We didn't exactly ask that, but it does seem to jive. We also classified our riders in terms of 3 different categories. So we have all-purpose riders, sole-purpose riders, and then occasional riders. And this is something that came out of a 2017 Transit Center report, where it basically, we used to have choice versus like dependent riders. And that report came out and said, you know what, you really don't have dependent riders, because there are a number of other ways for people to get around, and just don't think that you can have the worst service ever and still rely on this portion of your dedicated riders. So we looked at it in terms of all-purpose, sole-purpose, and occasional riders. The biggest portion of our ridership is all-purpose, meaning that they take the bus for everything under the sun. The next highest category is the sole-purpose rider, and most of those people use the bus solely for commuting to and from work. And then the occasional riders, as the name would suggest, ride occasionally, and those we actually see more often on Route 33, which is our free Manitou shuttle. This graph shows how people get to the bus and from the bus to their final destinations. One of the things that's, well, the one thing that is not shown on this graph is walking, because over like 96% of our riders walk. So this is kind of like the other portion. If you can see down at the bottom, Route 33, which is our Manitou shuttle route, we're going to find a lot more people who drive themselves and park and then take the free shuttle from there. So it's pretty interesting to see. We also asked about rider fare payments, and you can see that a lot of our riders use cash and single ride tickets. So we are still a pretty heavily cash-based system. Minorities and millennials are even more likely than other groups to use cash. 31-day tickets are next, and you can kind of see that call out to the left with the different generations. Silent generation, boomers are more likely to be using the 31-day tickets. That could be because they have more income at the beginning of the month. They can buy their bus pass and ride all month. Or it could also be that at 60 years old, you qualify for a discounted rate. So you get the 31-day ticket for $31 instead of $62. So we also asked about mobile ticketing. This is one of our initiatives this year. And we were curious to see if there was any correlation between having a data plan and being more likely to use mobile ticketing. What we found actually was there really isn't a correlation. People would just go to the free Wi-Fi, the McDonald's, the Starbucks, and download whatever information they need, and then be able to use their mobile devices as though they had a data plan. So what we did find, though, is that the younger the generation, the more likely the rider is to use a mobile app. And the consultants identified this as a really great thing to attract and retain riders. So the thought is you get them in early, you cater to their needs, and they'll be writers for life. So we're hoping that that will work out. So this is a quadrant analysis, and this shows basically our report card. We have strengths, D, J, and E, which are safety on the bus, safety at bus stops and facilities, and then convenience of transfers. So on the right-hand side, we have the high importance items. On the left-hand side, they're a little bit less important. On the top of the graph, you've got high satisfaction, and then on the lower part of the graph, you've got low satisfaction. So our strengths are high satisfaction, high importance, while our challenges are high importance, but low satisfaction. So the interesting thing to keep an eye on, though, as I toggle next to the next slide, is our strengths, is particularly E, safety at bus stops and facilities. So we actually cross-referenced by gender, and we found that male writers think that safety at the bus stops and facilities is a strength, but female writers perceive it as a challenge. So less satisfied customers on that realm. So one of the things that we're going to do is look through our survey, find these items that we could potentially modify, help, and we're going to create task forces to go after these issues and try to figure out how to make them better. This could maybe be one of the reasons that we have such a gap in male to female ridership. So something to definitely keep in mind. So we also did a Metro Mobility client survey, and we were going to do more of an in-depth survey, but unfortunately with the pandemic, we had to postpone it. And then by the time we could get a telephone survey going, it was July, and day programs, things still weren't really quite open. So we decided to go with a pared down version and really focus on demographics. So as far as our Metro Mobility clients go, you'll see that 37.7% of them are unable to work. So that's a big flip from your fixed route ridership. As far as income though, roughly the same, about 80% low income, a little over. So then we asked a number of other questions. How do you make reservations? Most people make them on the telephone. Subscription use, do you know what it is? Of the people who knew, 50% of them had never used it. A subscription is from the same origin to the same destination at least 3 days per week. So maybe that people just don't qualify anymore, things like that. And then for the most part, people still pay with cash, check, or money order. The final graph down at the bottom shows how often Metro Mobility clients ride the service. And you can see that we have a good portion who ride regularly, 5 to 7 days a week. So it just kind of underscores how important the service is to the community. And with that, I can take any questions. Just to let you know, there's both a survey in brief and a full survey available on our website. And I can go ahead and copy this and paste it into the chat so that you have it easy accessible. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Don't all start at once. Come on, guys. Let's ask this gal some questions.
I think a lot of you have seen this before.
This is Gary Sugar. I have a question on the Metro Mobility. You broke it down by how people, if they're working or unemployed, do you have statistics that showed how many people use that are disabled, that can't drive, that are either visually impaired, wheelchair bound, those types of things?
You know, that's interesting. We didn't exactly ask that question. What we do have, we have client data that we could maybe use to answer that, but no, we did not ask that straight out. Some people do take they might be disabled but can still drive, things like that. Oh, I'm sorry.
One thing you have on that is unable to work, 37% is the largest category. And that's people that you show physical, mentally and that type of stuff. And that probably takes, that's the lion's share of those folks. Between that and retired, that's almost 70% of your demographics there.
Yeah, that is true. But I do know there are some people who can still drive, and maybe like they take the Metro Mobility to dialysis or something like that because they're just really too tired and they just cannot physically drive a car after dialysis. So there are a little, there's a bit of wiggle room in there. There could be some drivers that we still have.
You know, the interesting thing about this, and it's fascinating information in the sense that millennials are the ones that use this the most. And I would say if you're sell cars, you've got a problem there because that's the heart of your 24th through 29 people. And there's just different things like that that you can draw conclusions from that would help anybody in marketing.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Anybody else?
Yes, this is Ann. This may be a silly question, or I missed what you said. Do the buses have Wi-Fi on them?
No, they do not currently have Wi-Fi, at least not free public Wi-Fi. We use Wi-Fi to locate our vehicles and things like that.
I just wondered because, you know, sometimes cities do have that. I don't know if people would ride the bus more if they had Wi-Fi. I don't know.
That is something that has been brought up before. And it's definitely something that we weigh against providing extra service, things like that. So it's one of those. In 2017, we did ask the question in a different way, but it was kind of how important is Wi-Fi to you? And it was rank it based on, you know, additional service. Would you like that more than Wi-Fi? Things like that. So Wi-Fi actually turned out to be a pretty low priority when compared with service modifications, getting more routes, more frequency, things like that.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ann. One thing on a Wi-Fi system, you know, I don't know what the data fees are going to be, but it would think that you probably have already taken, since this is Metro, ride those buses where they go and see what kind of signal strength you've got. It would take somebody just making sure they can connect. And if they can connect, then they can get through on their own cell phone.
Right.
Yeah, very true. I will tell you, it gets a little hit or miss up at the end of Manitou.
But if it's in an area that can't get cell, that's a problem for them.
Definitely, definitely.
Anybody else? If not, that was a great report. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's great. Just thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. That was good.
Jessica, if without that, if you could go to the next one, I don't have the agenda up there at all. Bless your heart. COVID-19 small business grant. Jessica, you're up for the next two.
Indeed. Thank you all. You all should have gotten an email from me back in January about our first round of and it's El Paso County specific, COVID-19 Small Business and Relief Fund. This is a grant program designed to help small businesses that are struggling because of COVID. We opened a second round of granting that is currently open until March 5th. And we are reaching out, please excuse me. As you may remember, this is something that PPACG is the one dispersing these funds. We've partnered with El Paso County and the Colorado Enterprise Fund to administer them. It's really important that small businesses get the chance to take advantage of this money. And we've realized there's a lot of folks who don't know about it. So I'm bringing it to you guys as an information item, just kind of, you've received one email from me saying, hey, this is open, but this is your second one saying, hey, we've got money that is grant money, so businesses don't have to pay it back. If they're in El Paso County, they should apply. It's a very quick process, but we need more applicants. As strange as that is, we actually need more people applying. So this bill was passed, as it mentions in my attachment. The Senate Bill 20B from the special session in December created this. They are looking, the legislature is planning on doing another bill, either amending that one or a new bill, expanding this opportunity, this grant fund, to possibly some other businesses and possibly increasing the maximum amount. That bill isn't in place yet. We don't have the draft of it, but we do know the legislators who were on the original bill are all planning on a second bill to support this. Does anyone have any questions about it?
Jessica, this is Gary Sugar. What is the total amount available for grants?
In El Paso County, in Colorado?
In El Paso County.
We currently have, give me just a moment, because I actually have that data. Find it. Please forgive me while I look this up for you.
Any other questions? Anything else going on?
Yes, I have a question about this program. My understanding was the second round of grants were some very specific types of businesses that which eliminated some of the businesses that were able to get the grants before. And I can't see in your memo if it says what businesses there are. So I was wondering if you could share that information. I think it was just for restaurants or something.
No, and it's actually the same as it was last time. The businesses that are applicable are restaurants, bars, including breweries, wineries, distilleries with attached sales rooms, caterers, movie theaters, gyms, and recreation centers with physical locations. Those are the ones that were applicable for the first round and second round.
Okay, so I just wanted to make it clear, it wasn't just any small business, it was small businesses that are in that those specific types of businesses.
Yes, and they have to have experienced a 20% reduction in revenue due to COVID.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm glad I could help. And the second answer is, I want to say about $2 million is still left in the fund in El Paso County. So we would very much like to see that money get taken by local businesses rather than potentially be returned to the state.
Anybody else? Any other questions for Jessica?
So Jessica, if this is not used, then we will lose it. Is that it?
At this point in time, as the initial bill was written, yes. So we're hoping to see the state's adjustments give us a little bit of shifts on that. But right now, we don't have the businesses apply, we don't get the money.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica?
Yes, Ann?
I just happened to think, does this apply to nonprofits? They can't apply, can they? It has to be a business operation, right?
It does have to be a business. It doesn't apply to nonprofits.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Just thought I'd ask.
One of the things that is difficult with this type of application is that a lot of small businesses are reluctant to share their financial information, their bottom line, with something that is very political. Okay, that just happens, where the government never did it that way. The federal government, when you got some of those first basic loans, and we needed one here, they didn't ask you for information, they gave you the loan. But there's so many different things that you got to think about as a small business. Same thing happened up here. Our city did the same thing, that it makes a lot of people reluctant to apply. And that's a shame because if we don't use it up, we lose it. And if there's no other questions, you can go on your next topic.
I'll just give you a quick push. Hey, please remember, take advantage, give them some, share them with people. Both Terry and Carol mentioned some details in there in the chat. So our next item is the legislative session update. This again is an information item. The legislative session opened on January 13th, adjourned, and then resumed just last week on February 16th. The PPACG Board of Directors held a legislative roundtable with our delegation back at the beginning of January. I think I may have mentioned that at our last meeting, and that gave the opportunity for all of our local legislators to tell us what bills they're planning on running, and the chance for all of our member governments to have a chance to tell our local legislators what's important, what's impacting our regional governments. The legislative committee of the Board of Directors began meeting. They review bills to determine what things will actually impact PPACG programs and members and determine whether or not they should be meeting. There are some large legislative themes. I gave you guys a little bit of information about this back in December. Those themes are, and these are kind of the PPACG legislative priorities. We're going to be paying the most attention to bills that relate to these things: supporting the pandemic recovery, protecting and enhancing services for seniors in the region, protecting and enhancing transportation throughout the region, supporting air and water quality, supporting and protecting our military partners, and regional quality of life issues. Mm-hmm. We are, through the roundtable and external conversations with our legislators, we're pretty sure we're going to see some bills on wildfire mitigation, the COVID-19 small business relief grants, as you guys just heard from me, and transportation funding. As we have done in years past, the legislative committee hears from our state lobbyist who brings forth some bills. They determine whether they're going to take a position or not, and then propose a position to the board. The board as a whole then votes whether or not they accept the legislative committee's position. Our lobbyist then takes it back to our legislators and says, hey, PPACG wants you to know this. One of the big things we're hearing this year is that transportation funding is going to hopefully be happening. At the very least, we know there's going to be some very, very important discussions happening this year. So the legislative committee is working on creating a policy statement for PPACG on transportation funding that will provide us the opportunity to give our board of directors a chance to give their stance on how transportation funding should happen without us having to pick apart every single bill that's proposed. Does anyone have any questions or our process or how to keep track or where information can be found?
I have a question. It's Ann. Who's on the legislative committee? Is that board members? Is that how that works?
It is board members. Our co-chairs for this year are Commissioner Dick Elsner from Park County. Park County. Councilmember Sharon Thompson from Fountain.
Oh, Sharon.
Councilmember Jill Gabler from Colorado Springs is one of our members. Mayor Don Wilson of Monument. Commissioner Holly Williams of El Paso County. And Commissioner Stan Vanderwerf of El Paso County are the current members. That committee is open to all PPACG board members who can attend at any time they want, but those are our current active members.
Oh, that's good. I was noticing there is a bill pending for wildfire mitigation. It's kind of weird. I was just looking at it, but that probably is something that affects air and water quality and all that. Also, you mentioned fire mitigation, and that's very important.
Well, and we actually, there are two bills right now that we're paying attention to that the committee has not yet taken a position on, which is why I don't have those here to give you an update on. The Forest Health Project financing relates to how wildfire mitigation is funded through the state. It's pretty
Right.
much just a financial transfer. That's House Bill 21-1008. It was seen in the House Agriculture Committee on Monday, but we anticipate that one it's really a procedural financial decision. It's not much of a change. It just
Uh-huh.
continues stuff as it has been before.
Yeah, I noticed it went over to the Senate or the Finance Committee now. And, so I just happened to notice it. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
There is
Thank-
another wildfire bill already in place, and that's Senate Bill 20054. That's also transfers for wildfire mitigation and response.
Oh,
That is a
good.
Senate bill, and it's went to Senate appropriations yesterday.
Oh,
So
okay.
those
That's
are
a sen-
both very
Senate-
procedural transfers of money.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. At
Anybody
our
else?
next meeting,
Oh, I'm sorry.
at our next meeting, I will give you guys a list of what bills they've reviewed and what positions they've taken. So you'll always be able to find those from us. That's it from me.
Anybody else?
Jessica, I received an update from Senator Heisey, and he said that there aren't as many bills being presented this year, like it's considerably down. Have you noticed or have any comment on that?
Because of the session starting and then closing and then resuming, the bills, there is a lot of discussion going on that there may be fewer bills than normal, but there's also discussion happening that there might not be, but that the universal agreement is that there will be much fewer late bills.
Okay, okay.
Bills that are permitted to come in after deadline are going to have a much harder time
Right.
getting introduced than they have in the past.
Okay. And then also, they're not real sure if they're going to lengthen the session. I guess that's also kind of up right now.
That one is
Because
indeed
that's-
still in the air. Our traditional session ends is right the second week of May. We are anticipating that it will end no sooner than the very end of May, probably June and possibly July. So
Okay.
it'll be
yeah,
an
so it will-
interesting legislative session, as Terry chimed in.
Right,
They
definitely.
probably haven't thought of shortening it, have they?
There's a certain requirement of days they have to meet. So
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, is Catherine available for the FFY 21-24 tip amendment number 10?
I am. Hello, everyone. Catherine Winger, PPACG. As we do, almost every month, we have a tip amendment here. This is for our FY 21 through 24 tip, or our Transportation Improvement Program, which is our short range plan that lists all federal and state funds in the region for our area. And so occasionally we do have to make updates to those based on some requests. And that is what you see here. We have a couple of requests from CDOT, and then also a PPACG request on behalf of jurisdictional things as well. So the first two items are from CDOT. These are for updating project costs for these two projects. The first one is for US 24 West from Woodland Park to Divide. And these are, the project is being advanced, so they just moved the funding forward. And then the second one is for the Bill Grant, or the MAMSIP project, as CDOT is also calling it. It's a group of projects. And this piece of it is for I-25 corridor and South Academy Bridge. They're updating the project cost to reflect the most up-to-date funding types and the allocations. They initially put it in the tip based on their original estimates on what they would be able to allocate as far as the types of funds. And now they're actually making progress on those projects. So they're making sure that they have the right amounts in that document. And then finally, the third one is for what we're calling stimulus fund relief payments. So over the last few months, or actually back in November, December, I can't remember now, it seems so long ago. a bill was signed by Congress and the president to have, a COVID relief package, and part of that had some transportation funds in it. And as part of those funds, PPACG received some as well, and a portion of those the board has approved for relief payments to the jurisdictions. And so the amount is just over, it was actually at about 1,400 or 1.4 million, excuse me, but a couple of jurisdictions decided to add some of their funds to current projects they had, while the other jurisdictions you see listed below in the allocation amounts would like to receive their money in payment form. And so all that to say, this is a request to add a new project pool or for pool of funds for this $1,092,491 for stimulus relief payments, and the allocations will be based on the approved amounts by the board that you see below. And those were based on multiple conversations between jurisdictions and the needs of those. And so with all that, I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Wide open, folks. Don't be shy. Somebody start.
Hey, Catherine, this is Shelley Roars. I have a quick question regarding the US 24 West Woodland Park to Divide. Do you know why that project is being advanced?
I think some money was freed up elsewhere, and so they were able to move it up and get it moving quicker.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Come on, guys. This is about $8 million worth of spending. No other questions? Catherine, you've just done a great job.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Thanks, everyone.
Well, shall I make the motion to recommend the Board of Directors approve amendment number 10 to the FY 21-24 plan?
I'll second. This is Carol.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Same sign for no. Motion passed. Ms. Foster, thank you for getting that thing going. Sitting there sleeping at the switch. Okay, thank you. Okay, now I think we're on to discussion now. If that item is finished, I'm pretty sure that's member discussion. This is always the interesting part. It's kind of avant-garde and all that kind of stuff. So anybody got anything?
This is Roy Rosenthal. I just want to say that if anybody's having trouble getting in to be vaccinated, anybody who qualifies, I've got a lead on how to get in quickly. Anybody in our group or anybody you know.
Very good.
Sounds like everybody's doing okay.
I would love to have that information from some family members.
Okay, it's the Matthews View, MATTHEWS-VU Medical Clinic in downtown Colorado Springs. My wife called on Monday and got her shot on Tuesday.
Great,
So-
thank you for sharing.
Yep. Good.
Thanks, Roy. Appreciate that. Okay, anybody else for the good of the order here?
We'll try and real
Question,
quick.
this is Ed Dills.
Go ahead.
When is our next meeting?
March 31st.
Oh, great. I just got a jury summons and it's for the 24th, so that's great.
Yeah.
Just real quick.
Okay, go
Sorry.
ahead. No.
I did want to remind you all about an email you got from Jessica Bechtel yesterday. The Colorado Greenhouse Gas Roadmap Outreach Meeting is Monday the 1st from 4 to 5. You should have gotten an email about that. I just wanted to give you all a reminder. It's a chance to listen to a CDOT virtual regional discussion for what's going on with greenhouse gas.
Thank you. one comment that I'll make, and it was, and I think it's interesting. The very first report we had on the mobile mobility and the transportation, it was interesting to see that more millennials took the bus than retired people. I would have thought just the opposite. I would have thought that retired people that can't drive anymore, and there's a whole bunch of us folks, not me, but can't drive, would have been using that. And because it's in the metro, in a rural area, and one of the questions I had asked Victoria before is, are we real? I know we can go to all the committees, but we need to get to the citizens too and let them know that's available. And I'm not trying to step on their toes, but I think that would, they just don't, and that's not our place to do that. But you can draw some statistics from those graphs to wonder why elderly people that can't get out very much, they would also be in the lower income for the most place. If they would need it the most anyway, from that standpoint, if they're in that lower income group. I just wonder, that was just an interesting graph that brought a lot of information out in it. That's all. Anybody else on discussion? And Jessica's going to tell us about the items for the next CAC meeting.
At our next meeting, you'll get a legislative update and you'll hear any new transportation items. I don't know of anything else I've currently got pending. So
thank you.
Thank you all.
What about PPACG meeting and event schedule? Any questions on that? Anything anybody wants to talk about? Very good. Will you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and stay informed? And I'll need a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Sharon Brown.
Second?
Second by Gary Sugar.
Okay, thank you. Our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Thank you.